The book of Genesis in the Bible recounts various battles and wars that took place millennia ago. However, what if I told you that in the days of Abraham, there was a colossal war involving 4 kings from different nations against 10,000 giants? Are you curious about this topic? Do you want to know when and how this battle occurred, as well as learn about the kings and races of giants involved? I'll tell you all about it. There were 3 races of giants. If you want to know more about this whole story, leave a like, comment, and share the video. This immense war that unfolded in the days of Abraham is meticulously narrated in the book of Genesis, specifically in chapter 14. In this passage, you will find detailed accounts of the conflict involving 4 kings against 5 kings. At the peak of this colossal war, the clash between these 4 sovereigns and an incredible 10,000 giants stands out. Join me now as we read chapter 14 of the book of Genesis. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is, Zor. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. For 12 years they served Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings that were with him came and attacked the Rephaim and Ashtaroth-Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Shave Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to On Mishpat, that is, Kadesh, and they conquered all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hazazon Tamar. And the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is, Zor, went out and joined together in battle in the valley of Siddim against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings, against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of asphalt pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Some fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. Then they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their provisions, and went their way. They also took Lot, Abram's brother's son who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and they were allies with Abram. Now when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his 318 trained servants who were born in his own house, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. He divided his forces against them by night, and he and his servants attacked them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is north of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shave, that is, the King's Valley. This reading extensively covers the great conflicts that occurred in the days of Abraham, involving 4 kings against 5 kings, as well as 3 races of giants. Now, I will address the identity of each of these kings, detailing their kingdoms and whom they defended, according to the biblical narrative. The first king mentioned in the text is Amraphel. But who was King Amraphel? In Hebrew it is Amraphel, in Greek, Amraphel, and in Latin, Amraphel. Amraphel was the king of Shinar, also known as Sinir, which, to clarify, is the general term for the land of Shinar. This land is Babylon, or more precisely, Sumer, also referred to as the original land of Shinar. In Genesis 14:1 and 9, Amraphel led the invasion from the west, along with Tidal, king of Goyim, Arioch, king of Elasar, and Kedorlaomer, king of Elam. In this endeavor, they destroyed Sodom and other cities in the plain during the battle of the valley of Siddim. Who was King Amraphel? He was a monarch of Sumerian origin, a descendant of Cush, who ruled over the people of Sumer during the time of Abraham. Some claim that he was known as Kinda II, his original name in ancient Sumerian. He is identified as King Kindatu, which literally means great person in ancient Sumerian. The term Amraphel is equivalent to the ancient Sumerian Kindatu. This equivalence arises because the cuneiform letter corresponding to an in Hebrew would be kin in Sumerian, and the term Raphel becomes data in Sumerian. Therefore, he is recognized as the biblical King Amraphel, with Kindatu being an ancient Sumerian interpretation of this figure. As for the leader of these four kings, we have Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam. The Elamites, the people of Elam, are recognized as one of the earliest Semitic peoples, descendants of Shem. Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, ruled over the land of Elam, corresponding to the present-day region of Iran. Originally inhabited by the descendants of Shem, including the Elamites, Chedorlaomer is mentioned in ancient Elamite texts as Kudur-Lagamar. Regarding Arioch, king of Elasar, some views identify him as a ruler of Asia Minor. The theories vary regarding his specific location, with some pointing to Cappadocia or Antioch. Most, however, suggest that he was a king in the region. Tidal, the king of Goyim, known as Tidal in Hebrew, ruled over the land of Goyim. A linguistic curiosity here is that in Hebrew and Phoenician, Goyim means nations, and in Semitic, it means peoples. This suggests that Tidal could have been a king of ethnically mixed nations or peoples, formed by tribes of different origins. This interpretation aligns with the view of David Rohl, suggesting that Tidal is equivalent to Tudaliya, a Hurrian ruler in the Zagros Mountains, possibly in the region of Iran or Iraq. In summary, Amraphel, king of Shinar, ruled over the Sumerians. Arioch, king of Elasar, was associated with Cappadocia in Asia Minor. Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, was a Semitic ruler descended from the Elamites in what is now Iran, and Tidal, the king of Goyim, was possibly a king of the Hurrians. Now, I will address the great war against the 10,000 giants of three distinct races that faced the four kings of the land at that time. The three races of giants mentioned in the text of Genesis 14 are as follows. 1. Rephaim. This is the first race of giants mentioned, biblically described as possessing colossal and imposing stature. Also called Rephaim, they faced the four kings and their armies in Ashtaroth Karnaim and were defeated. The Rephaim giants were said to reach up to 5 meters in height, making the battle challenging for the four kings and their armies. 2. Zuzites. The second race of giants mentioned in the text is the Zuzites, also known for being imposing and monstrous. The Bible does not provide many details about the Zuzites, making them a relatively obscure group in the biblical narrative. Their mention is mainly associated with specific events and locations during the war described in Genesis 14. Like many passages in the Old Testament, the narrative may have historical and theological meanings, but specific details about some of the mentioned groups may be limited. In summary, the Zuzites are identified as a people present in Ham during a conflict mentioned in the Bible, but information about them is scarce. Chedorlaomer led his armies in the defeat of the Zuzites in the land of Ham. 3. Emim. The third race of giants faced by the armies of Chedorlaomer and his allies were the Emim giants, whose name in ancient Hebrew and Aramaic literally means the monstrous or the terrible. The Emim are described in Deuteronomy as a people great, numerous, and tall, like the Anakim, and were considered giants by the Moabites, who called them Emim. These verses indicate that the Emim were a people who inhabited the region that the Israelites approached during the Exodus. The term Rephaim is often associated with peoples of exceptional stature or giants in the Bible. Although the Bible does not provide many specific details about the Emim, they were clearly a formidable force, constituting a crucial part of the Great War. The battle was undoubtedly monumental, involving the Rephaim, Zuzites, and Emim giants against the four kings of the land. Despite the giants measuring between 4 to 5 meters in height, the four kings and their armies prevailed in the fight. Even though the armies of men were more numerous than the estimated 10,000 giants, the battle was not easy for the forces led by the four kings and rulers of those regions. Now, I want to hear your opinions. Were you familiar with this biblical story that occurred in the days of Abraham, this great battle involving 4 kings of the land against 10,000 giants? Write your thoughts in the comments.